Abortion is not murder, and here's why. I have a ton of experience in abortion conversation and debate, and I have my bachelor's degree in philosophy, so this is how I defend my pro-choice position against arguments like this. A lot of times pro-life people will force you down particular dialogue trees and pigeonhole you to morally loaded definitions so that they can use emotions to make their arguments. However, in the example of murder, one of these morally loaded terms, if we look at what we actually mean by murder, abortion doesn't fit any of these categories. Murder definitionally is the unjustified killing of another person. So pro-choice people, if they want the upper hand in this debate, they can attack that definition in two ways. You could argue that abortion isn't murder because you're killing a human, not a person. In the same way that if a severed arm were hooked up to a machine and was kept alive by a machine, but somebody unhooked that machine, you'd be killing a growing, living, and uniquely DNA'd human. However, nobody would say that you've murdered that arm. This is because the arm, despite being living and human, doesn't have the necessary components to be considered a person, despite being just as alive as the fetus is. So you could clarify that you're killing a human but not a person, and this would be a philosophical distinction. However, the easier way to defeat this pro-life argument is the idea that abortion is somehow unjustified. Humans do not have an intrinsic right to life, and this is obvious when you consider the plethora of reasons why we're legally and morally allowed to kill other humans. Cases of self-defense, brain death, medically induced death, death penalty, and war are all examples of humans have the right to life except for in these circumstances or under these conditions. The pro-choice argument is that abortion definitely falls in one of those cases where killing is justified. And you would argue this in the same way that you would argue all legality or morality when it comes to why killing is bad. Among other things, in most cases, killing is unjustified is that the person that you are killing is experiencing all the harms of being murdered, as well as they are experiencing their life being taken away from them. From their perspective, it's conscious experience in life followed by nothingness, and that nothingness is created by your action. However, if there is no original conscious experience or even a capacity to deploy a conscious experience, it is impossible for the fetus to experience any of the harms of abortion. From its perspective, it is nothingness and then continued nothingness. Somewhere in the middle, an abortion had happened. It's the same as chopping down a tree. All the nuclei in the cells of that tree are reacting negatively to the stimulus of being chopped down. But no one would say that that tree is being harmed or experiencing being harmed. So there is literally no harm being experienced by the fetus. So it would absolutely fall into the category of justified killing. If you want to use a stricter definition about murder, saying that it's actually the illegal killing of another person, then that's fine, because abortion is simultaneously legal and illegal depending on where you live. So then there's nothing really you or I can say about the morality of it. That's why I think we should probably play around in the arenas of philosophy and morality and then hope that that influences our legality. So this is one dialogue tree that you'll probably find yourself going down, especially if you're trying to get involved in the abortion conversation. I'm going to be going through as many of these as I possibly can, so if you like this kind of content, this kind of philosophy breaking down, you should definitely follow me so that I can debate and argue with more people.